my name is Lisa Calamo, and welcome to our webcast with Cooper Levenson attorneys Alexandra Rigdon and Cynthia Grob from the Family Law Group. Today we have Kasi Gifford, a fellow Cooper Levenson lawyer. Kasi, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Happy to be here. Thanks, Lisa.
Of course. Today, Lexi and Cynthia will be asking Kasi a few questions. Lexi, over to you.
All right, Kasi. So I just want, before I ask the question, I want everyone to know that I'm not in a t-shirt just because I'm lazy and I'm taking the whole sweatpants thing to the extreme. My shirt, I figure like everyone should see it. It says, if you can see this, you're too close, socially distant, established 2020. So if you can't make light of this, what can you really do? So in any event, obviously in the family department, Cynthia and I have a lot of clients that have children, and there are many issues that have affected our clients and their children as a result of this pandemic that we couldn't have foreseen months ago, including graduation. So one of the questions that we've had is, what are school districts' options for graduations with this pandemic?
That is a great question. Certainly this is an unprecedented time. So we've been kind of day to day with options, but school districts right now can have virtual graduations, or they can have drive up or drive through graduations. Some of these school districts are deciding to do that in the parking lot, or even if they have a drive-in movie theater nearby. So there are the options for right now. And then starting July 6th, school districts are actually allowed to have modified in-person graduations as long as they are outdoors. They have to be socially distanced, obviously. And also they're going to have limitations on the amount of people that are allowed to attend. So there may need to be more than one ceremony. So those are the options at this time.
So, and as a follow-up question to that, Kasi, so is it like do districts happen to do this as like a district-wide policy? So if it's an 8th grade graduation or a high school graduation, they're kind of doing parity between the two, or the district's only looking at dealing with high school graduations?
I think for the most part, the districts that have both an 8th grade and a high school are going to have parity there. Obviously, they may look a little bit different based on class size, because you may have less kids in an 8th grade class than a high school class. But I think for the most part, you'll see consistency. I also think that you're going to see a lot of schools do virtual graduations at this time, and then hopefully plan something in the future in July when they're allowed to. But they are still kind of waiting for some guidance there. So some schools don't have set plans yet.
Okay. And so Lexi and I, as she mentioned, we have a lot of clients who are parents, and generally speaking in our department, they're living separately from their former spouse or their child's other parent. What are considerations regarding senior events and graduations? Like, how are parents expected to handle that if there's two separate sides of the family that are trying to come together to view the event?
So I think it's important, if only one parent typically gets school communications, obviously the best thing to do in the best interest of their children at this time, and especially because these kids have already sacrificed so much and deserve to be celebrated, I think it's just really important that they communicate with their child's other parent. But also if a parent doesn't get communications from the school regarding senior events, graduation, whatnot, and they would like to keep informed, you know, they can certainly contact the school as long as they haven't lost their parental rights. They can contact the school and be put on the list and asked to receive these updates as well. And, you know, I think it's important to just keep the dialogue open, because there are going to be limitations on how many people can attend to these events. So I think it's just important to keep the best interest of the children and work together through these times.
I guess so, like, as a follow-up to that, if you don't communicate with your co-parent, then your ex might invite his Aunt Sally, and then that's going to be too many people for the group, and then it could cause issues. So they need to be communicating about who's going to be at these. And that's probably no different than a normal graduation where there are limits.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's always, I think most schools always have some type of ticketing limitation, but this is going to be even more strict, and it's kind of an ever-changing thing. So I just think keeping the lines of communication open is really important.
Great. Thank you so much for answering those questions. We like to finish off by asking kind of a fun question. So this week's fun question is, what has been your favorite quarantine purchase?
So I guess I'll go first. My fiance and I decided that because there wasn't much else to do this summer, we would buy a boat so that we could go around all day on the weekends.
That's awesome.
Cynthia?
Well, that certainly beats my quarantine purchase, which was a mat for my standing desk. I'm standing on it now because I've wrested it back from my dog, who believes that it's a new bed that was purchased for him to lie under my desk. But my standing mat is certainly something I love and I highly recommend.
Well, other than my novelty t-shirt, which who doesn't love one of those, I did get a tailbone cushion on Amazon. So it's definitely not as fun because my chairs here are kind of hard. But this isn't my own purchase, but my friend bought like one of these like $400 above ground pools. And I don't know if it's her favorite purchase anymore because I swear this thing is more work than like a real pool. She's constantly treating it. The filter's not working. The chlorine's not registering. It is a full-time job with this thing. So I don't know about favorite, but I do kind of laugh watching her take care of it. So
maybe she should get a boat.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Jury's still out on that decision. We'll see.
Lisa, what about you?
We decided to get a water table for our almost 2-year-old, and that has given us hours of entertainment.
yeah.
So that was a total win that I would pay probably hundreds of dollars for that.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for jumping on with us, Kasi. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks so much. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
That's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
You too.